The night everything broke apart began with rain sliding down the windows like the city itself was crying, and by the time I stepped onto that quiet suburban porch, I already felt something ending inside me. I had come hoping to fix a small crack in a long relationship, but instead I walked straight into a moment that would shatter my old life and quietly start a new one. My name is Michael Carter, and this is the story of the night I was left behind, only to be seen for the first time in my life. Before the weight of this story settles too deeply, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the strange ways life sometimes saves us when we least expect it, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. I had been dating Rebecca Wilson for almost 4 years in Columbus, Ohio, the kind of relationship that grows quietly and then becomes your entire world without asking permission. We met in college, built routines, shared dreams, and talked about futures that felt permanent simply because we wanted them to be. That night, when she told me she was done, it felt sudden only because I had ignored all the warning signs. She had already moved on emotionally, already packed her heart away while mine was still wide open and unguarded. I remember standing there, numb and empty, trying to process how quickly love can turn into distance. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even begging. I was just tired, the kind of tired that sinks into your bones and makes you question your worth. As I turned to leave, the porch light flickered, and her mother, Margaret Wilson, opened the door again. She had always been a quiet presence in the background of our relationship, observant, warm, and strangely perceptive. That night, she looked at me like she was seeing something fragile that no one else had noticed was breaking. Margaret rang the small brass bell hanging beside the door, a bell she used to call the family in for dinner, and that simple sound cut through my thoughts. She didn't let me walk away into the rain. Instead, she insisted I come inside, not as a guest or an obligation, but as someone who mattered. There was no dramatic confrontation, no sides taken. There was only compassion, steady and unwavering, in a house that suddenly felt safer than anywhere else in the world. Over the following weeks, my life unraveled in slow motion. I struggled to focus at work in Cleveland after transferring for a promotion I had once planned to celebrate with Rebecca. I slept poorly, ate less, and questioned every decision that had led me there. Margaret checked in on me in quiet ways, sending food home with me when I visited to return Rebecca's belongings, asking about my job, my family, my faith. She never blamed her daughter in front of me, never excused the pain, but she also never allowed bitterness to take root in that space. I learned that Margaret had been widowed years earlier and understood loss in a way I couldn't yet comprehend. She saw something familiar in my silence, something she had once carried herself. Slowly, without announcements or expectations, she became my anchor. Sunday dinners turned into long conversations. Long conversations turned into healing. I started to remember who I was before I defined myself by someone else's love. The hardest challenge wasn't losing Rebecca. It was rebuilding my sense of self after realizing I had poured everything into a future that wasn't meant to be. I faced loneliness that echoed in my apartment at night. I faced jealousy when I saw couples holding hands. I faced shame when people asked what happened. Through it all, Margaret's steady presence reminded me that my value wasn't tied to rejection. She treated me like family when I felt like an afterthought everywhere else. Months passed, and something inside me began to change. I started running again in the early mornings, feeling my lungs burn and my heart beat with purpose. I volunteered at a local shelter Margaret supported, meeting people whose losses made mine feel lighter without diminishing their pain. I found myself praying again, not for answers, but for gratitude. Life didn't magically fix itself, but it softened. It became manageable. It became meaningful. One evening, sitting alone after another shared meal, I realized the bell Margaret rang that night wasn't about claiming ownership over a broken man. It was about refusing to let kindness walk away into the dark. She didn't replace Rebecca. she restored something far more important. She reminded me that love exists in many forms, and sometimes the most powerful ones arrive when romance leaves. Rebecca eventually moved out of state, chasing dreams that no longer included me, and for the first time, I wished her well without pain twisting my chest. Margaret and I remained connected, bonded by an experience neither of us planned. She once told me, indirectly and gently, that life doesn't always give us what we ask for, but it often gives us what we need to survive and grow. If this story is touching something inside you, if you've ever been left behind or unexpectedly lifted up by kindness, please take a moment near the end of this video to like, share, and engage. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still hurting. Before this story ends, I have a special request for you. Please comment the word hope below if you believe compassion can change a life. Today, when I hear a bell ring, I don't think of loss. I think of a rainy night in Ohio, a door reopening, and a woman who chose empathy over silence. I think of how being dumped didn't destroy me, but redirected me toward a deeper understanding of love. And if this story touched your heart even a little, stay connected, because sometimes the stories we need most arrive disguised as endings.